Welcome to the BPM360 podcast. I'm Russell.
And I'm Casper. And together we will help you navigate the treacherous waters of the BPM adoption journey. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the BPM360 podcast. My name is Casper, your host, and I'm, as always, joined by my dear friend and co-host, Russell. Russell, where does this podcast find you today?
It finds me back home in Hattingen. That's
very
Germany,
nice.
North Rhine-Westphalia. Yeah, autumn weather outside, beautiful. I'm not going to start taking up the topic about the moles because while I was on holiday, they went completely havoc. Let's move on. I'm going to
whack-a-mole. There we are again.
I'm going to procrastinate that topic till spring.
Okay,
it's
I
more
can
the
imagine.
time to be inside and get some quality quality time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to get my garden into winter shape, which is fine. But I got two very, very positive things we need to celebrate, Russell.
Cool.
We are recording, as we speak, episode number 50. The big 50. Yeah. Would you have expected that when we started to get the 50 episodes?
No. You always think about, is the topic exhaustive? Isn't it exhausted at a certain time? Are there always new things popping up? And what I'm really astonished about is, first of all, how great and, well, let's say to a certain extent, easy it has been to really take up this, let's say, covering every angle topic and getting interview partners in from which I just would never have dreamt of, just from, let's say, the status, but also from the topics and how we always like to being able to reconnect down to our, let's say, passion and our core topic, but how expansive and how insightful it has been on this journey. And then, the numbers trickle up. Also, of course, humble towards our big role models. What's your baseline with 100 episode? But still, that's. I mean, if we keep it up, then we're not going to overtake them unless JM and Roland.
If they would stop, then we would eventually do that. But But I agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to continue this discussion with the community on our topics, and I think it's I don't see an end to it. Let's say it like that.
Very, very good. And by the way, what I also should mention, and we're a bit more humble about that one, but we did pass our 5,000 mark on the downloads. So yes. I'm very happy to see that there's a lot of appetite out there for the podcast, even though we are one of the, I would say, 3 BPM related podcasts. I'll come back to that in a second, by the way, because there is a 4th one popping up very soon.
Okay.
But I'll explain that towards the end. I'll keep that as a bit of a teaser. You know, when I tell you, you will know, but we'll dive into that later on. There's one specific topic because we just keep cranking out content. So let's do that. So Russell, what I would like to talk to you about today is what we see happening in the market a little bit. So let's take a 30,000 foot view on the process market, process intelligence, process mining, process automation, orchestration, management, you name it. And what struck me most was, of course, lately we've seen the acquisition of Apromore by ServiceNow. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you also mentioned the fact that ServiceNow, maybe already 2 years ago, actually acquired a task mining company as well. And then I wonder, and I would love to pick your brain on that, ServiceNow is, I would not call it an ERP, but it tends to have those tendencies a little bit because you can do a lot of different things on that platform. Why would they be interested in adding, vertically integrating task mining and process mining?
Well, I mean, task mining, you could maybe looking back at the ServiceNow and then thinking about the origins of the typical, let's say, tasks and services and workflows that were automated. You would think that, task mining makes sense if you want to add on a certain functionality or capability in the tool to actually also monitor all the activities that you're orchestrating through ServiceNow. So there, I think it's interesting to say, okay, so is ServiceNow, and I think that has happened after they, got their new CEO in, who was very bold in his vision on moving forward on the market and bringing this like ERP like statements and mission onto the table. That said, so ServiceNow understands itself more than just a dedicated task management system, and
Yeah.
is thinking
Yeah.
more end to end, thinking more process. And here, I think then the idea, and that's where, from my understanding, the process management only really gets interesting if you have a high diversity of different process instances and variants across, let's say, a complex organization. That's when the real power of process mining goes beyond what a classical task miner would do, and where you need to analyze and dig into more of the variants. With a simple workflow, my humble opinion is, okay, you have a classical sequence of tasks that are executed.
Yeah.
In processes end to end, things get messy. They get more complex.
Sure.
And so definitely I think it fits very well to the ambitions of ServiceNow to become a real business platform. And here trying to also establish itself as a platform company-wide. Now, when I say company-wide, if you look at it from I think also with Atlassian and Jira, there were typical IT frameworks that were implemented in the context of the IT, and then they expanded their use cases. And there was a certain border where you said, okay, now a dedicated application like SAP or Oracle came into the room and would displace us. And would set a border for ServiceNow and Jira to expand their platform within the companies. The ambitions of ServiceNow are very certainly to cross that border. So they want to go into domains like purchasing and maybe logistics. And here, I think in the context of that's why I think it's logical that they also think about the process mining as a capability and a tool that you would need to be able to orchestrate, monitor, and optimize more complex processes.
But so, I mean, I get that. I'm just not. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but I'm just wondering. A tool like ServiceNow, a tool like Jira, a tool like SAP, they're very good in orchestrating those workflows that they have in scope, right? So SAP is, of course, we all know as an ERP system. Oracle, same thing. ServiceNow, I think more from a task management and service management perspective originally. Well, I mean, and I can understand the need to be able to, let's say, discover what people are doing on their platform, hence task mining, hence process mining. I totally get that. But I've never really seen these platforms going outside of the scope of processes that they actually cover in their own process, in their own platform. So I think you see that with SAP as well. So they are very good. Their entire best practice framework only contains those things that they actually can do in the SAP system and nothing else, which I think is just a missed opportunity.
But SAP has over the years always been very strategic in thinking about what other areas do we need to cover. So if you had you had a classical financial controlling stack, and then you think, oh, but we need planning, and then so over strategic acquiring companies and integrating them, they have over the years gone into S&OP and I'd say planning. Then that's many years ago, also all the APO. So they have always looked at from an operative enterprise perspective, what processes and areas do we need to expand into, and also from an ERP perspective, gone from a classical SDMM FICO into very much more complex realms with, say, success factors for HR, something for the sales portal.
What
I think is different, though, what I think is different now is that SAP is now has a different approach about the platform. So I think with the Clean Core and Cloud HANA approach, they are now saying, okay, we're going to stay in our core with a very highly standardized offering cloud, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And over the BTP platform, we are creating space for a much more complex orchestration of applications. And I'm also not talking about process orchestration in the sense that we think about the orchestration, but more at least that there is becoming like the platform that they try to then keep others out. Yeah, is based on then. It's based on more an architectural concept that allows other applications, as long as they comply with the SAP environment, like the App Store and iPhone, yeah, that they can plug themselves in there, and hence they are not saying we define what the application is that you need, but they're creating the space, like the platform, for other applications to grow here. That is a different. So, what is ServiceNow's answer to that? On the how do they, what is their strategy? Because getting the process mining tool is not going to help them overcome this border.
No, I agree. But
and that's where the competition is.
The point that I'm trying to get to is that, looking from the perspective of ServiceNow, it makes sense. I typically try to look from the perspective of the organization using ServiceNow. So imagine you're a large company. You're using ServiceNow. You'll probably also be using SAP, and you might be also be using other tools, and that's all fine. None of these tools take an holistic approach, agnostic from the applications that the organization is using. If you want to do process management, if you want to do process optimization, you very often get into the fact that you're going cross-application as well. And I don't see the support there.
Yeah, that's what you have to get web methods.
Well, but the point being is that back in the good old days, when and I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart, but when Software AG still was a great company, they had the orchestration, they had the agnostic enterprise architecture, they had the agnostic process management. Right now, I think.
No, seriously speaking, I mean, we can always. I mean, you're going to get a shitstorm for that. As properly,
of course.
I'll take it on. No. I think people will agree more than they disagree on that topic. But and even then, I think the strategy they had, that they said, and we have to support companies in a hybrid environment with really looking at, say, the application like setup companies have now with on-site and cloud, and that before they become cloud only, big enterprises, there's another couple of decades before that will really happen. And they were with their kind of like the complete stack that they had did cover all these aspects on orchestrating not just the applications and the data, but also the processes in this context. So maybe it was more than just a joke to say something like, where are the web spheres around really orchestrating applications on a process level? And you will always have politically and economically, of course, a challenge that you say, like Camunda, like on a smaller scale, having to say yet another layer to orchestrate across these. Now you can, and so here maybe there are some rising stars on the market that will go in exactly that space.
Yeah.
And here I think the SAP approach is we create the technical platform for the applications on it. It's an IT application like platform that they are creating. I can't really even speak for ServiceNow on what level they are actually. Their philosophy is on how they want to provide a holistic platform. But I think if there is an orchestration layer on top, it cannot compete on, or it should not try to compete on the technological application platform level.
Yeah, exactly.
More on, as we said, on a real, and that's where I think web methods had a bit of an issue. It was too data related. It started evolving in direction of the process related, let's say, level, but its origins was still EDIs big time, like data. data mapping and pushing verify.
Yeah.
So it didn't have really that. It didn't come from the process perspective. So maybe you have a layer, orchestration layer in mind that would fill that space. And I'll say this in of course, no pun intended, but maybe a pun is intended, in a very intelligent way and in a smart way of actually dealing with this orchestration, and maybe there on this layer, that's where the process mining would make more sense than in each of the applications. And it comes down to the same point that I say about AI capabilities. Every application, no matter where, is building its own AI assistant.
Which makes no sense.
Well, maybe in a
it makes local sense.
It makes a local sense, but we're thinking global and standardizing and stuff like that. So where the real intelligence is around the orchestration. And I had a mega discussion yesterday, also not by chance, but by per design with Sven and his colleague Robert from UMZ, where they showed their built up with Claude, like an agent orchestration. So where this new technology with MCPs and agents that actually orchestrate and coordinate themselves. So that's like the level where you said you have different applications with different capabilities, and they need to be coordinated. So on that level of orchestration, the mining, the processes, the interactions between applications on a more global scale and beyond the domains, that's where I think there is space. There is real space for these companies.
There is space, and I honestly think that if you as an organization, as an enterprise, you would like to build up that enterprise AI function, you would need a decent layer of business context. You need guardrails. That guardrails is coming from a plethora of different applications. And maybe 30-40% of that comes from one big ERP application or one big service management application, for sure. But there's a whole world out there that also has influence. And I honestly believe that why would you, as a service management platform or an ERP platform, trying to invest a lot of money into putting all of these capabilities that you need for orchestration, which is the mining part, which is the modeling part, why would you put a lot of effort into putting that into your application that you're only going to be using locally, so to speak, while you could also focus on, let's find a way to get that data into a single layer, which is agnostic of tools. And yes, the pun intended, I get that. And we are an agnostic podcast. But as we record this, next week, there is an event which ends with fear of a vendor who actually can do that.
Could it start with Cello?
It might. According to the ticket that I have for it, it does. It does start with that. No, but I mean,
no, but
let's be honest.
This is exactly the space that I think is opening up, and it is like the next level, because how else will you really drive on a? I mean, we're talking about we're talking about enterprise. We're talking about enterprise global scale. How else in this and in this a complex world are you going to be able to drive and harvest the potentials on a global scale if you do not actually combine the governance, you said, the guardrails, but also the intelligence around and the business context in a layer that actually is, as I said, agnostic to the actual operating systems and applications beneath that.
Yeah.
So that's something looking at. So coming back to the original question, so I think I don't know. Maybe first of all, I think we need to dig a bit into what is the ServiceNow strategy on this. So the process mining will just be maybe they just say, oh, SAP's got something like that. Me too. Let's buy something and have it as it was an occasion. I went shopping. I saw this, and said, oh, promotion.
That looks nice.
That would suit me. Maybe I'll wear it sometime. And they take it. Maybe there's a big strategy behind it. And it would be interesting to see how they differ and how they want to expand their platform. Because economically, that's their intention. Somehow they want to gain more market shares in the market they are already in and performing well. And
But
who can help us answer these questions?
yes. Oh, why don't we think about the analysts, Russell?
That's a good point. So
Yeah,
I know one.
this is
You
what
know
they do.
one.
Yeah, I know one, and I think you know one as well. So let's reach out to them, but let's do an open shout out. Uh, think about Gartner, think about Forrester. I think there's the Everest group as well that are typically the most renowned ones when it comes to process management related topics, mining, intelligence. I think the hype cycle from Gartner was just released not too long ago on mining, or where mining actually was on twice. Once with OCPM, once with the regular case centric. I think it would be awesome to have people like Bernard Schaffrink or Mark Keremans on the show. So should this come to you, and we will reach out to you as well, by the way, but should this come to you, this podcast, Google us. And if you feel like it, we'll have a very pleasant conversation. We emphasize fun here. It's not a third degree cross-examination. We'll just like to have a conversation, right, Russell, on where is
Absolutely.
this going?
I mean, analysts are normally the ones that grill us, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true. We can do something back for the community then.
That's true.
But that's absolutely wonderful. Now that's a good thing. So we'll shout out to that. One little thing, Russell, two little
yes.
things
You said,
before we
you've got
wrap up.
Yeah.
But I thought of one more actually, and the first one. So I had the pleasure and opportunity to have a lovely dinner and a talk with 2/3 of the Prozessphilosophen. So
I saw
Daniel and Matusz.
Yeah, I'm very
That was
envying.
really pleasant. And then this morning I was actually listening to their podcast, the 79th episode, and they are talking about the community, and they are talking about setting up a more, let's say, formal organization that I think they called it the BPM Alliance, or Business Process Management Alliance, where people come together in trying to build out the community around this topic. That is something that I think, Russell, I speak, I think on behalf of the two of us, we would love to support that. But that is number one. You might have missed that. The other one is that maybe you remember that about 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was, next to What's Your Baseline, there were two other podcasts on this topic, and they were more specific around mining. You had the one from, and I forgot the name, to be very honest, but it was a vendor driven one. I always forget the name. And the other one was Mining Your Business from Process Ant.
Yeah, I heard
And that
them.
one
Yeah.
is coming back. So that was Patrick and Jakub at that time.
Yeah.
And Jakub Dvorak, he moved on, and now Patrick, I think, found a new co-host. I just saw the announcement on LinkedIn this morning that they are actually restarting the Mining Your Business podcast.
Okay.
So goodies, and I've welcomed them on behalf of the BPM360 podcast crew this morning. But I think it's good to have that bubble expanding a little bit as well.
Yeah. So real specialist podcast, and we can invite them over and have a chat
yes.
on.
I think that would be a lovely idea. So also here, out to the Mining Your Business crew, if you like to have a conversation about mining and the wider context in which it plays a role, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to have you on the show and promote your podcast again. And as you revive it, I always listen to the episodes back then. I actually was a guest on them very early on. I still remember that. I mean, and Jakub, if you hear this, you would remember that he was actually recording with his mic on a cardboard box, and he was having a towel over his head for the sound quality.
Wow, is that the new? It's not. You can't. It's not so good for uploading to YouTube though. But
No,
other than
but
that, I can imagine
they didn't do that yet. At that point, it was just the audio, so it didn't matter. But it was good fun. So I thought I'd mention
life
that.
Life hacks.
Life hacks, Russell. I think the technology came a long way from then. So all good. Well, I think that's it. We'll keep it short today. We're going to celebrate. I'm going to go out for dinner tonight because we have our 50th anniversary episode.
I've got a fantastic Halloween party lined up. I need to find a costume.
All right.
Although,
Well, good.
you know,
You need
at my
one.
age, costumes are like overrated. You know, I just have to,
Yeah.
I just put my hoodie up and then I scare people if they see me.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, you want to know about processes? And then people run away scared.
Start running away.
All right, good. Well, then, Russell, enjoy that.
Will
Um,
do.
we'll talk to each other next week, and everybody on the podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned. Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye bye.